Andrew O'Brien.
At the end of that, they decided to bust out the alcohol. Now, for any of you that know infantrymen, you know they are professional drinkers. I was 19, and I thought I could keep up. So I decided I was going to keep up with my brother and prove to him that I could drink just as much as he could. Well, an hour later, I was throwing up everything inside my body. And I'm sitting there throwing up, and I had this medic, and he has a saline bag. And he's like, all right, I'm going to give you the saline bag. It's gonna sober you up. I've never had an IV in my life, so I didn't know what he was doing. So I've got this medic, right? He's drunk. He's very drunk. He's coming over with this needle, and he's going like this. He's coming up to me, and he's falling, and he goes to stick me. He misses like 3 times. And at this point, I'm like, all right, I'm done. I don't want any more needles. And my brother at this time, he's very drunk, but he's a professional drunk, and he's like, don't worry, I got this. And he had drank just as much as I had, probably more. And he got that needle in first time. I soaked up that whole saline bag in about 5 minutes. And I'll tell you what, that thing was like a miracle bag. All of a sudden, I was sober again. And as soon as I soaked up that saline bag, they're like, you ready to go out? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. We leave one bar, we head over to the next one. Now, when we head over to this next one, as we're pulling into the parking lot, there's this man about to hit this woman. And I see it, and I don't say anything. I jump out of the car, and I go over to stop this guy. Now, if you look at me now, I'm 26 years old, 140 pounds soaking wet. At 19, I was 100 pounds soaking wet. The wind blew the wrong way, I'd be gone. And this guy was big. I mean, he was a big guy compared to me. And I go up to stop him, and I know I'm about to get hurt, but I'd rather get hit than the woman. And I go up, and I say something to him, and he looks at me like he's about to kill me. And then all of a sudden, he gets this deer in headlights look. His eyes widen, and he looks scared. I'm like, all right, I know this guy isn't scared of me. So I turn around, and I see 8 Army Infantry Rangers behind me. Why? Because I was OB's little brother. And all of a sudden, I became family to them. And so they had my back. They didn't even know what was going on, but right then, they had my back no matter what. And it was in that moment that I decided to join the Army. I wish I could tell you, 9/11 did have something to do with it. I was in 7th grade when it happened. I remember watching it on the news, and I wanted to get back at the people that did that to us. But the main reason I joined, it wasn't for college money, it wasn't for patriotism, it was because I wanted family. I said, all right, so what's the third option? I said, well, the third option is you can be a truck driver. And I looked at this guy across from the computer, I was like, why would I be a truck driver? And he said, well, $20,000. And I said, where's the contract? 19 years old, $20,000 sounds like a lot of money. I have nothing to show for it now. I go home, I call my brother, I was like, hey man, I signed up. He's like, all right, cool, so what are you going to be? I said, I'm going to be an 88 bike. And he goes quiet for a second, and then he says, are you stupid? And I was like, what do you mean? I didn't go combat. He's like, have you heard of an IED? And I said, well, they didn't show that in the video. My sergeant comes up to me and says, OB, I want to talk to you. I said, all right, what's up, Sergeant? And he said, what do you think about being a lead gunner? Because we were attached to an infantry unit, but we pulled our own security in all of our convoys. And in that moment, it didn't take me a split second. I said, yes, I want to do it. And it's because, remember, my childhood was very rough, and I felt like a failure my whole life. Like that was my only option. My only option was to fail, because I was born into that life. And this man just gave me the opportunity to do something that meant something. I had a mission. I had a purpose. My life had a purpose, and it was to make sure everybody else made it home safe. I don't blame anyone else for my suicide attempt. I tried to take my own life. It's not anyone else's fault but my own. But I'm telling you the signs that you could see in order to prevent it from happening to the people that you care about. In one of my speeches, I had someone stand up and they asked me, well, how do you know if someone's just faking it and trying to get benefits from it? And I asked him, well, are you a psychologist? He said, no. I said, then it's not your freaking job. It is not your job to figure out if they're lying or not, or if they're faking it or not. It is not your job. Your job in the military, or working with any kind of government, is to keep people alive. It's not to cost people their lives. Your job is to keep people alive. So if you feel like someone's faking it, then keep it to yourself, take them to a counselor, and let them figure it out. It is not your job. Then whenever you start pushing down things and trying to ignore it and acting like it never happened, this is a Coke can right here, and this is your brain. And it's just shaking it, and it's just shaking it, and it's just shaking it. And it's doing it slowly to where you don't even know what's happening. You're pushing it down, you're ignoring it so much that you don't even know that right now you're shaking a Coke can and all it takes is that one little pop and that thing's going to explode everywhere. PTSD, my PTSD is not just from war. I want you to stop and think. You're 6 years old. The mother who's supposed to take care of you, who gives birth to you, who's supposed to feed you, who's supposed to love you, and you see her having sex with another man for money every day as a child. Imagine what that can do to your brain. Now imagine pushing that down just like I did with everything else, and adding that on top of war, and then adding that on top of embarrassment. So all it was a big explosion of every emotion. If I had a gun that day, I would not be standing in front of you today. I would not be here. I would have pulled the trigger. I would be dead. There's no question in my mind. Because suicidal people don't do it to hurt people. They don't do it to hurt themselves. They do it because they don't want to feel pain anymore. And I need you to understand that. So I take 120 pills in less than 3 minutes. I down them, chase them with beer. I go and sit down on my couch and I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting to die. I'm ready to die. Now I would rather sit here and break my arm in front of all of you so you can see why I'm in pain than to feel mental health pain. Because if I break my arm, you know why I'm in pain. You can see it. You can understand my pain. But if I have mental health pain, you can't see it. And to you, it's not pain. But something I've realized is that talking about it has helped me a lot. You know, I do this to help other people and to help the military, help civilians understand more. But it also helps me because I'm talking about it. Because I don't care. There's going to be people in every speaking engagement that I do who disagree with what I'm saying. There's always going to be people who think suicide is weakness. There's always going to be people who think, well, I've been through worse, you need to suck it up and drive on. And those people don't bother me anymore. Because you know what? I've taken care of my own problems and I've shared my issues so much that I can live the rest of my life now. Because before, it held me back from living my life.